So what I wanted to talk about today was getting your sleep right. I had one of my viewers recently mention something about that. And so, that's a topic that's, again, near and dear to my heart, like everything else is. But I used to have trouble with sleeping, and I used to be a night owl too. But now I have zero trouble falling asleep, zero trouble waking up without an alarm clock. I can get up pretty much whenever I want. It's awesome. So basically, when it comes down to sleep, it's about relaxation, and it's about allowing the body to get into its natural processes for sleep. And one of those things, especially in the evening, is not using a lot of artificial light. After dinner, what I recommend is, turn the lights down low, light a candle if you have to, avoid the phone, avoid the TV, avoid all these extra lights that are just too much. I also recommend, especially after dinner, when you're starting to relax, put on some peaceful music or something light, or light incense. Do things that are very relaxing, not overstimulating. We tend to do all these things. We're watching the news at 5:30 while we're eating dinner. There's so much things happening, running around, traffic, people screaming, dogs barking, all these things going on. So what we want to do is we want to create an environment that is peaceful. And what the other thing we want to do is we want to create a peaceful space for sleep. And that means as dark as you can get it, as quiet as you can get it, and the right temperature for you. So, for me, I'm a little bit picky, and I live in Colorado in the summer and California in the winter. That way I can have my windows open year round because I like fresh air on me while I'm sleeping. That's kind of my favorite trick. You can do that as well. I don't recommend to go to that much of an extreme, but for me it works and I really enjoy that. But what I also do is I make sure that it's dark, dark, dark. I don't have alarm clocks or a smoke alarm or anything with any type of flashing light. What that helps it do is that helps your melatonin production properly secrete inside of your brain, because when that's not happening, that's the serotonin melatonin balance is a big part of what messes your sleep up. So you want to make sure all those neurotransmitters are in place. And a big part of that is having the darkness. We get tempted to wake up at 2 a.m. and check our phone and see if we have any notifications or to see what time it is or what have you. But, I highly recommend sleep through the night. Don't even look at your phone until it's time to get up, because if as soon as your eyes take in any light, it's going to signal your brain to start waking up, and you don't want to do that. You want to get that good restful sleep. So we want to get into that restful state, start creating an environment that's peaceful, make sure that we have a good room to sleep in or a good space to sleep in that's just right for us. But then we also want to make sure that we're eliminating anything that might be possibly stimulating the brain. So any processed foods, a lot of your preservatives and additives and things like that, and a lot of different foods will actually stimulate your brain, and it will mess up that serotonin melatonin balance, and it makes it hard to sleep as well. I noticed when I came off a lot of the processed foods and I started eating a lot more naturally, that I was able to get to sleep a lot easier. I wasn't laying there for hours and hours and hours on end. The next thing you can do is exercise. It doesn't have to be heavy exercise or light exercise. Again, I'm not a doctor. This is not my advice. Check with your doctor on all these things. But I do recommend even a brisk walk, before you eat dinner. Take a brisk walk, take a quick shower or bath, eat dinner, and then you're in just this nice relaxed state where you can really tone things down. Now, one of the issues I guess that we deal with is, thinking too much and laying there in bed just thinking. Well, here's why the thinking is keeping you up, is because you're listening to it, you're paying attention to it, and you've been paying attention to your own thoughts for so long that they're loud, and you always just direct your attention to them. So what you want to start doing when you're having those thoughts and you're laying there in bed is you just start saying, hey, I don't want to listen to you anymore. I really don't want to hear what you have to say. I'm ready for bed now. And as you take control over that, you'll start to see that the volume of your thoughts gets lower and lower, because you're not listening to them anymore. Part of that reason that you're staying up right now is because those thoughts are really loud in your head. And when you tone into that volume, you can hear yourself. You can start to turn the volume of those thoughts down. But the other side of what happens too when we're thinking too much is it's the addiction. We're just used to doing it, and it's a habit, so we get that dopamine rush from doing it. And so we're fighting our own sleep by thinking and thinking and thinking. So what we want to do as we're telling ourselves to ignore our thoughts is we want to go back into body awareness. And that's one of the best things you can do when you're falling asleep, is you just lay there and you just, start taking in your senses. What does it smell like? What does it feel like? You know, is it too warm? Is it too cold? It's almost like counting sheep. You know, you're distracting yourself, but by staying in your bodily awareness, what you're doing is you're taking your mind off of your mind and into your body, because that's where your relaxation is. And you can feel your nervous system discharge. You just got to let the feelings out. A lot of times what happens is we get our thoughts trapped in here, we get all this energy trapped in here, and the energy is stuck in here. Let that energy out through your body. Just let it out. Let it go. Relax. And then fall asleep nice and easily. So I hope these tips have helped. The biggest thing for me, like I said, was getting off the processed food. You know, if you can, try to stick to a routine, going to bed at the same time every night, getting up at the same time every morning. But the other part of it too is just having that really, really dark room. That just makes all the difference. It's just so nice. So if you have any questions or comments on sleep, please leave them below. Thank you.